Cups and all that. I am not interested.
He said, right lads, we're going to go through the season we're not going to be beaten.
Which was unbelievable at the time. He thought, no, that just can't be done, but he believed it could.
Their time had come. Leeds United, once negative and defensive, went through a makeover. Fired up by the criticism, the First Division was about to be hit by the charge of the White Brigade. Everton were thrashed in the opening game, and then Spurs were swept aside in a bruising 3-0 defeat.
What terrible marking by Tottenham!
Leeds were on fire, and it was Revie who was fanning the flames. Don Revie was special. He looked on Leeds United as his second family, and he knew when to be the stern father or the benevolent uncle. In return, he received a loyalty from his players, which was, even in those days, rare. He created a team bond that was the envy of the league.
When he brought a player in, I think he looked at the player, obviously about his ability to play the game, but also the character and personality of the player, that he would be a player that would mix, would settle in, and would go on with other players and vice versa.
When it was time to extend his family, Revie chose wisely. And when he discovered Eddie Gray, that meant another cross-border raid to a school on the south side of Glasgow for a chat with a reluctant headmaster.
Basically, he just says to my mother, I'm going to go up and see the headmaster. He's going to come down to Leeds, he's going to be a football player. So he went to see the headmaster, and I was standing outside the office, I'll never forget it, and he went in on his own. So I don't know what he says to the headmaster, or if he gave him anything, or I don't know. But that was it. I left school on that Monday and come down to Leeds.
Revie's family spirit was forged in the dressing room. Experience and youth side by side. Old hands who had carved out international careers were ordered to look after the kids.
When I went down, I stripped between Eddie Gray and Peter Lormer. So that was a nice little touch where I was there. They were a few years older than myself, but it was done for a purpose.
Well, yeah, we used to call Joe the Chuchter. He'd come down. Joe is a bit dough, he's a bit of a... he's a very serious lad. Lovely lad is Joe, but he has got a serious side to him. And so obviously, if you've got that in your makeup, you're going to be on the receiving end of more stick.
The first day he came in with a black oilskin coat. I'll never forget it. He looked like a fisherman. And got a bit of stick about that coat, Joe. He'll never forget it. He never wore it again.
He couldn't understand it because he thought he was the fashion boy because he was younger than the rest.
But as soon as we seen Joe play, we knew he had something different. We knew he'd be a player. Aggressive, but led the line well.
A youngster like me, inexperienced and raw, and there was no doubt I was raw in those days, and Norman would have you nearly polished by the end of the season, with pushing you, pulling you, telling you where to go. And of course, he was a phenomenal player himself.
Playing at Derby once, and I ran out, and the big man was behind me, laid on the floor. He shouted, "Don't leave me, Norm, don't leave." And he had cramp in both legs. He had just come down from Scotland. He hadn't played many games, but he was a good signing, and Joe Jordan was too.
His talent certainly rubbed off on the team. Unlike today's superannuated stars, the Leeds players were happy to pick up their pay in a poke.
We used to get paid weekly, but we used to get a brown envelope and we'd pay in cash.
Oh, I don't know. Did you take that one this week?
Oh, change.
It'd say, when you're picking your wages up, don't forget to go on the players' lounge to sign those footballs that, youth clubs had sent in, parents. And every Thursday, when we were to pick up our wages, we must have signed between 50 and 100 footballs.
It's a cliche, but I think every player you talk to about Leeds, about Don Revie, any ex-Leeds United player, I tell you, they'd run through a brick wall for him. And I think that's the way every player felt about him.
You all right, big man? Aye. You're not putting the back of your legs or anything, are you?
No.
Already said you were a little bit. Are you grinding or anything?
Not bad, no.
I remember once, and I woke up one morning, I was struggling all week, and I had ankles about that thick, couldn't see an ankle bone or nothing. And my missus said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going down for a fitness test." She said, "You crackers." I said, "I'm going down, don't worry, I'll be back." But then I got down there and he puts his arm round you and he said, "Come on, I'd rather have a 3/4 you fit than anybody else," all the usual, go on, try it for me, son. And you'd hobble up there and you'd say, it's not too, go on, try that tackle, son. Les, what do you think? I'd be all right. Get a strapping on, out you go.
Don't go and do silly things and put yourself out for Saturday. They've got the Easter programme coming on. This is being professional.
Oh, yeah, he was very clever. I mean, being a good manager, you've got to be good at man management, and that's what he was good at. When you think back on it, he's a bit of a con man, really, the way he kidded you all and that, but it was all done for the good of the team.
He had a great drive that season, and, you know, he was pushing the players and pushing them, and he wanted them to go on, you know, like they went on an unbelievable run, you know, and he wanted to maintain that.
As 1973 drew to a close, Revie convinced his players they could win the league unbeaten. At the beginning of December, Leeds faced Ipswich. They were 8 points clear in the league and on the brink of equalling main rival Liverpool's record of 20 games without defeat. By now, United were a team on a mission.
Beatty underneath, not a good header, straight to Joris. And he scored, Terry Joris. What a disaster for Ipswich.
We never changed our formation. Why should we change our formation? We'll let them worry about us.
Jones. And another.
Systems do not win football matches. Football players win football matches. But you play to a pattern, which we did. We play a 4-4-2. Pete Lorem on the right wing, Eddie Gray on the left. Mick Jones and I up front. And we never changed our pattern.
Clark. Rooney just inside. Joris on the far post. Clark going in alone.
Leeds were on course to beat Liverpool's unbeaten record, and every team in the league was out to spoil the party. Chelsea were notoriously fierce rivals. In the FA Cup final of 1970, both teams had gone to war, in what was described as the dirtiest game of football ever played. The next game of the season would be against their bitter rivals.
Every game between those two clubs was a physical battle. So we had to go there, and obviously Chelsea are looking for a scalp to stop Leeds going through and completing that season undefeated.
By now, Leeds had fallen into a beautiful rhythmic style, and it was really just a matter of when the goal would come. It was Jones' 11th league goal of the season, and one he won't forget.
The Leeds team battled hard to beat the record and win over the critics who'd accused them of being more physical than skillful. But reputations are hard to shake, and Leeds were still an intimidating outfit.
I used to look at some of the games Leeds United play and I'd win, so I'd think, jeez, it's a bit brutal this game, you know. It wasn't the game I came here to play.
The first tackle you ever had was nearly always free. The first one was a freebie. So Don Revie used to say to me, Norman, just let them know you're there. And I didn't disappoint many people. So as it was knocked up to them, just get close to them, just hit them a bit. And if they picked themselves up and come back at you, then you knew you had a hard afternoon. But if they laid down and didn't come back, then it made your afternoon very, very easy.
There was lots of teams around who, you know, one or two of the southern teams, you know, by the time the bus came over the Trent at Nottingham, they were beat because they didn't want to come up north because they thought, woof, we'll get it today at Leeds in a muddy pitch and they'll come out and they'll steam into us. And that's how we did it, yeah. We didn't disappoint them, you know. We'd come out first 10 minutes, hit them with everything, and they were beat. You know, you could see that, you know, they just didn't want to be there. They were good memories, actually.
A lot of people give us stick about how hard we were. We used to fight for that ball simply because we were brought up as winners.
In all fairness, we were unpopular because we were the best. And I think when you were the best, people don't like you.
We got a reputation, and we deserved it. You know, looking back, we did things. I did things personally that I wasn't proud of, and that, and I look back at. But you did it to win.